Hi guys, my name is Crystal and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is Saturday. I am not going anywhere today. I'm trying to rest, relax and just do a bit of tidying up today. I've been out quite a lot. My legs are sore. My son and his girlfriend a few days ago took me to Folkestone. I had a brief look around Folkestone and the weather was quite cold and windy. And you could see that parts of Folkestone are falling apart. A lot of that's on scaffolding. A lot of places are falling apart now. And they're held up with scaffolding. Folkestone is. I went out, the next day my son and his girlfriend took me out to McDonald's in my son's car. My son is not called Stuart. My mum goes out in a silver car and Stuart drives her to the cash points along with a family member of mine called Charlotte. So my son was in the car with his girlfriend and my son isn't called Stuart. So my mum and I are two different people, obviously. My mum lives in Chatham. Alexa, where am I located?
You're at 7 Coys Road, Flat 5, Biggs Apartments in Rochester, Kent.
I don't live with my mother. I live by myself with my lovely chihuahua, and I'm getting used to being on my own, and that's the way I like it. If I can't have a permanent, steady relationship, I won't have anything at all. And that's the way it's going to stay. And people can say, have a good day, be good, and I will. There's no need to steal. I've got enough food in the flat, and I've got money if I need something. So there's no need to take anything. There's no need to get into trouble with men, because I don't talk to strangers. And that's the way it should be. I don't go to work, so I'm not going to meet somebody that way. I was thinking of when the weather gets warmer to start going to some sort of club, like a book club or a poetry club or something of that kind, right? But you don't talk to strangers. What do we tell our children? Don't talk to strangers. Yet we talk to strangers ourselves. I mean, it's all right walking past someone and saying hello, but you don't say hello to someone and invite them back to your flat if you don't know them, do you? They could be anybody. They could have a history of being in prison. How do you know what someone is if you just say hello to them? You need to get to know someone over a period of months. You can't just invite people back to your flat willy-nilly. I mean, how many women off of Tinder have got murdered? And some people off Facebook as well. I'm being careful. So my mum, Jennifer, rings me, her daughter, her so-called daughter as she called me. 9:52 a.m. my mother, Jennifer, rings me. And I haven't gone out walking with Max yet. I took him out later yesterday. There's no rush, he's a small dog. So she answers the phone. Hello, Ginestra. Not hello, Crystal. She calls me Ginestra. So my mum says to me, hello, Ginestra. How are you? And I'm still feeling depressed. I'm still feeling down. Because I've got everything. I've got absolutely everything. I've got a nice, lovely flat. I've got food in the fridge. I've got some money in my pocket, and I should be feeling fine. But I still feel, at the age of 54, I'm being controlled by a very, very stubborn mother. That's what I feel like, and I'm not a fella with his mother. I'm a woman with my mother on the phone 4 or 5 times a day, right? I feel controlled by my mother, and she shouldn't be controlling my finances or anything else. She's my mum, and when I was 18, the parental control stopped. It stopped. I'm my own person, I'm an adult, right? So my mother tells me to have a good day, and then as I go to speak, she puts the phone down. And now that's playing silly games, isn't it? That's being silly. She's treating me like she treated Derek, how she treated my dad. And I've actually taken a video of me sitting round my mum's in her flat. How she speaks to me, what she said, and I've just looked like my father, sat there in my short spare legs t-shirt with glasses on, and my mum's coming over to me like she was doing to my dad, Derek. I've just gone over the video, which I've kept. And she said, I'm your so-called mother, Genestra on it. And she said people should stop making out that she is Genestra and I'm Jennifer, including her worker, Ben Palaran. I've got it all on video of how my mother is speaking. The only thing she said to me today was she didn't have such a croaky voice. Jennifer didn't have a croaky voice today. I'm not Jennifer. Now, I know this is confusing. I was born Genestra, and then I changed my name to Crystal in 2009. My mother has always been Jennifer. Jennifer. She hasn't changed her name. But I have got, the only way I'm going to get better is to see what's going on. So I taped my mother speaking to me. And I taped how I was reacting. I was walking back, she was coming towards me, I was walking back that way. And I could see how my dad's life was. I could see what it was like. He was sat in that chair with his glasses, and she was coming over, and she was very overpowering to me. Very overpowering. Very, very overpowering. You cannot speak, so she takes over the whole conversation, and I'm just like, you're taken aback. And I've got it all on here, and I can see how she's behaving, how I'm not a psychologist, but I can see how she's treating me, how I'm stepping back as she's coming towards me, and she's talking about people trying to be her. I'm being her, and I'm not. I don't want to be my mother. My dad didn't want to be my mother. I do remember in that coffin they covered my dad's face with makeup. He was covered in foundation, what looked like eyeshadow, and his hair was long and grey. And she kept saying, Derek isn't Jennifer, Derek isn't Jennifer, and he was all made up in that coffin like a woman on the face. Foundation, makeup, hair long. I don't want to end up like that. I want to break this, whatever it is, evil. Evil. I want to break it apart, tear it to pieces. Right? She's a very, very domineering, very, very, she can come across as, Jennifer can come across as aggressive. And she puts the phone down on me. I cannot speak, I cannot have a conversation. And it's not games, these are people's lives. This is people's lives you're playing with. Right? She doesn't own me, she's my mother. When you reach 18, you're an adult. She was ringing me when I was with my husband numerous times. Right? It did start the breakup of our marriage, because my husband used to say, every time your mum rings you get in a depressive state. It's because what she says. I've tried to get her involved in like a church club, like go for a coffee morning, you know, meet other people, but she's fixated on me. Fixated on me, and I'm her daughter. She just fixated. She tried to get me home from Gloucestershire by crying. Oh, your dad's doing what he's done to me. And when I came down in 2008, it was a totally different story. Totally different. Totally different. She kept trying to get me away from my husband when I was married to him. She used to cry, start crying. Your dad, I said, I'm in Gloucestershire now, Mum. I've started a new life. I can't, I tried to get you away from Dad when I was 16. I can't leave my kids and my husband now. So she's been doing it for a long, long time, being manipulating me and controlling, and I'm an adult and I'm trying to break free from it. And she'll bring up my young son, who I haven't seen since he was 5 years old, and it's very upsetting. And when someone keeps saying, and so and so and so and so and so and so, I said, you haven't seen your grandson, you haven't seen him. No, and I don't want to, she says. But she'll see Charlotte's daughter, which is her granddaughter, but she won't have anything to do with mine. It all surrounds Dad, Derek. She'll tell me that they've got Derek's blood, they're Derek's children. She tries to make out she's not even my mother. So I'm your so-called mother. It's very confusing for me. I get confused round there. I get upset, and I've videotaped it. My ex-husband videotaped his father. Before he died, my husband videotaped his dad so that he had some memories of his father. I've taped my mum speaking to me. And when I look back at that video, she comes across as very aggressive, very intimidating, and paranoid that I'm trying to be her. That's what it comes across as. I don't know how somebody else watching that video, and she does wear about 8 watches. So she's got 4 watches on one arm, 4 watches on another. And they're not real gold, they're not real. And remember that members of the royal family, including Charles and Camilla and Princess Anne, would have real gold watches. So am I being taunted? So I go round to my mum's and she's covered in fake jewellery, watches with the wrists of gold coming off because they're not real gold. When I'm given things, you see, the royal family would have riches. They would have things that cost thousands and thousands of pounds, and I'm given things that are of no value. They're valueless because they're second hand, they're used. And I always wondered when I came down in 2008 why my so-called mother was wearing about 8 watches, 4 on each wrist. And I do know that Princess Diana